Hi there, and welcome to the next video in the Twin Flames Healing Journey teaching series. This is Molly McCord, and I am offering you this series of information to help you through your process, through your journey, when you have this very deep spiritual connection with another person on the planet. It brings up a lot of questions. It is quite unique to have this type of connection with another, and it can be one of the most painful parts of your life at times as you heal, as you understand things in a new way, in a higher level, as you move through more than perhaps you thought you signed up for. And it could be that all of this is connecting with you right now because this is exactly the time when you're ready to hear the information. It does not matter when you come to this knowledge or this understanding. It does not matter on the timeline of your life. It is something that you resonate with. It's something that you feel. This is a feeling journey. It goes deep into your heart, your soul, your emotions, and it is more than most people experience. So please know that even if it feels like you're alone on this journey, that there are actually thousands of you who are connected to the same experience. And that's why I wanted to put this information out there and to share with you the information I've learned as well as what I have received from spiritual guidance. Now, this video is on third-party situations and your Q&A about these situations. And it's important to note that everyone has a different experience, but there's some general themes. And hopefully in this video, you will find information you need for your scenario. This is a general information. This is not specific. So it's important to take what resonates and leave the rest, and to see what fits in and what brings you peace, what brings you hope, what brings you forgiveness to yourself and to everyone involved. The twin flame experience is meant to be a bigger love for everyone involved. It's meant to heal everyone involved, including the third party participants, if you will. So understand that there's benefit for all, even when it doesn't feel that way, or even when you can't find it through your own ego mind. Now, before I started this video, I had this really funny scenario or visual that I want to share with you. And it's of salt and pepper shakers. And these were antique salt and pepper shakers. But if you've ever been into an antique mall or some of those places where they have a lot of nostalgic items of collectibles, and there's always someone who collects salt and pepper shakers of all different shapes and sizes and themes. And I was receiving that visual and I realized that is the twin flame connection, is that you feel that you're the salt and they're the pepper, or that you're the pepper, they're the salt. And you're like, well, these two should go together. This is a set. This is a unit. Look at how they fit together. They line up. And then when you go on this journey and other people show up, you're like, why is my pepper shaker with the cow salt? Why is my salt shaker with the piggy pepper? Like, you see how the pieces get moved around. The twins get separated, or the energies get mixed up and they get paired with another match, or they get paired with another energy. So I thought that was a really funny visual for how the connection feels and what happens when you realize that your pepper shaker is with another salt, and it just isn't just so funny. It just doesn't feel right. It's like, this is wrong. That's not right. But of course, there's nothing wrong. There's just different healing experiences, and there's different ways that we do that. But I thought that might at least bring a smile to your face to see it in that way. And maybe when you see another salt and pepper shaker out there in the world, it'll make you smile. And so on that note, let's talk about when your pepper shaker is paired up with another salt and what that means. And one of you wrote to me, Debbie, and asked, can the soulmate or karmic partner end the connection between the divine masculine and divine feminine. And absolutely not, because it is a connection that the twins share that's bigger and deeper. Bigger love and deeper energies than other connections. So no one can break it up. It's a God connection. It's an energetic, spiritual connection. And the other people who come in to the situation, and that includes, by the way, I'm going to talk about children, I'm going to talk about kindred spirits, soulmates, and karmic partners as some of the main third-party situations. And it's understanding that the purity of the connection between these two people is Teflon coated. And it can't be broken up. I mean, it's something that has gone through many lifetimes, many energies, many cycles, and it's a support. It's the two who understand each other. It's a very, like I said, it's a very deep connection. It's very deep and it's very big, and nothing can break it up. But there are many ways that we heal, and we heal through many different people and many different paths. And on a related note, I know that some of you feel really uncertain about the third party situation, especially with the soulmate, because in a previous video I talked about how the soulmate energy is softer and kinder and loving. It has a different type of healing energy. It's not the same as a karmic. And so you could wonder, well, is the soulmate connection going to last a lifetime? Is it going to be someone who they're always with? And you have to understand that no matter where the other person goes, you still feel a connection to them if they're your true twin. And some of you have said, that your twin flame connection has been the most hurtful in your life, and I can understand that. But you have to look for the love within you. You have to look for the healing within you, the forgiveness within you. And that's part of why no matter what unfolds, no matter what happens, there's healing for both people. Because if that twin flame is with another partner, you have to find it within you to detach, to step back, to come back to your power and your strength and stay on your path of what you need to heal and to keep doing your own work. It doesn't end. And that's why this is some of the hardest work we do, because the relationship triggers that growth and requires us to move forward. The soulmate or karmic partner cannot end anything. I mean, they can be participants, if you will, at times, sort of like characters in the story, but they're not the main characters in this connection. And oftentimes that soulmate or that karmic partner has someone else that's better for them. And once they are finished with the relationship and the connection to the twin, then they move on to someone who's also their equal and their better match. So the relationships, the energy shifts as things do. And someone can be in a soulmate relationship for a long time or a karmic relationship for a long time, and that just demonstrates how they're healing or what they're learning, and that doesn't always have to be a bad thing. But you have to understand that your power is always in yourself and your own choices. And so the soulmate relationship is softer, more loving, kinder, but that could be the connection where someone realizes, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, or they want more, or they're missing something in their life and they don't know what it is. So the soulmate relationship can be very healing, but it doesn't match up 100%. The karmic relationship is different, as I've described in other videos, and the karmic energies can vary. It's a bit like a gray scale. You know how you have the scale from white to black? Well, the karmic energies are often in that middle gray zone, which can be a light gray to a dark gray of energies. And so some karmic energies are quite extreme in their destruction and others are less so. But the whole point of karmic relationships is that they end, is that you get it. You understand what you were learning. You see your patterns. You see the merry-go-round. You see what you created. You see why you chose certain things in life. It's a teaching energy, and it can bring up some really hard things. Now, in a previous video, when I talked about should you wait or should you go, and I gave you the scenario of a classroom and if you feel like you should move on and what you should do in your life. Well, another way to look at the karmic energies is that this is also someone she's also healing. He's also healing, but maybe not conscious of it, probably not aware, probably very much into other values or priorities, but there's the potential for everyone to heal. And so with the karmic relationship, the reason why a divine masculine or a divine feminine would be involved with a karmic is because they're essentially in a classroom that teaches certain lessons. And fair to say that we're always in classrooms learning, and no one's excluded from that. But they're paired up with someone who can teach them lessons that you cannot teach. So for example, if a karmic partner is very manipulative, very greedy, very ego-driven, materialistic, those things, and they're engaged in betrayals and lies and untruths, and they manipulate to get what they want, well, then they're in a classroom with that energy, and you can't teach that in your classroom, or the classroom you're in doesn't teach that, because those aren't your energies. You're not going to betray. You're not going to lie. You're not going to manipulate. So you understand how we have different energy experiences with different people, and some people if they're a master manipulator, they're going to teach what that looks like. And there's something I wanted to talk about with this, because it's really important to understand, is that I've connected with some of you and you felt so uncertain about what to do in a situation when let's say your divine masculine is connected with a karmic partner, and you see who she really is, you see what's really going on, and you've wondered, can I tell him? Can I say anything to him? Can I let him know what I know? And this is what I'm going to offer you about that. I've had 3 people lately ask me the same thing, and so it bears repeating here to help more people. You need to think about how this is going to play out. You need to think it through. And so let's take, for example, just a situation where the karmic partner has been involved in other dealings where you would think that maybe she was a call girl or an escort, and she had no problem, putting her body online, and she somehow made all this money, but you couldn't make a connection about how she made the money. And she would brag about bikinis and brag about what she could do. And it was kind of like, she just came across like someone who was perhaps engaged in some things that were a little bit suspect. And then you see that she is going to the divine masculine asking for his money. And so you have a dilemma here of, because you know parts of her past and you know how she operates and that she's all about money and riches and status and things, do you tell him what you know about her? Well, if you were to do that and you were to go forth and say, hey, I just want you to know, blah, 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 and you tell him what you know, he probably would be surprised. He might not believe you. He's going to want proof. He's going to look for, how do you know this? Why do you think this? And he could go into defending her because he thinks you're attacking her. And then he could go to her, and of course she would deny it, and she knows how to manipulate, so she would say other things. And what happens is that then you are the one who experiences a backfire. It backfires on you. And you showed up with good intentions, and you were coming from the heart, and you were trying to help him, but it backfires when you gave him this information. And by the way, this plays out in some of these dating shows, in the Bachelor on television, if you've watched any of that, where there's the girl who's, she's not here for the right reasons. And if someone goes forward to tell that to the Bachelor, it always backfires on that girl. So I think what you have to see is how these situations have to play out, and each person has to learn them. And if she was an escort or a call girl, or she did stuff for money, and it's like all of that's supposed to be hidden, you can't do anything with that information because it backfires on you. You have to let it play out where he sees it, he experiences it. And that can be really hard, and that's not, you're trying to prevent that because you love him. But one of the best pieces of advice that I got was that you can't do anything, only God can. And I remember thinking, then God's not here. Then God's not here. Because based on what I see, it's clear what should be the best case scenario for everyone involved. But that wasn't my choice or my control. That wasn't my power. And so it's easy in some of these situations for you to feel powerless, for you to think you can't do what you want to do, that you don't know what to do with your good intentions, especially when it comes from a place of caring. But what I saw in hindsight at least, was how God was absolutely in the situation. And that's why it was time to go. Like, drop everything and leave, because this is not where it's best to put my energy anymore, because things aren't really progressing in the highest and best way. At the time, I see it differently now, and I feel how very protected I was. So when you're in it, you can feel like you're powerless, but in hindsight, you see how protected you were when you trusted yourself and you trusted what you had to do. And you trusted what was right for you. And that's so much of what this journey is about too, is always trusting in yourself. Now, the other reason why a divine masculine might be in a karmic situation, or even with a soulmate, is because it helps to awaken his feelings and how he truly feels and what those messages are. Because you can make certain choices and you can go on a certain path, and it could always have this sense of not feeling quite right. And so this allows him to have that experience of learning to trust his intuition and his feelings, and learning to trust, this doesn't feel right, or this isn't the best relationship for me. So it's actually a gift. There are gifts in every scenario, but this is a gift for him to say, wow, I thought I was in this for one reason, and now I'm seeing more of the story, or now I'm seeing something different. And yet when I look back, I felt it all along, or I knew it all along. Something was off. I had blinders on. I didn't see it. I chose not to see it. This things were there, and I chose not to choose to trust those feelings. So the soulmate or karmic relationships also help with that. The third party situations help with understanding what is your truth. How do you really feel? Because you could find that the relationship doesn't have the emotional connection you thought it did, because you're working out something with a soulmate or a karmic partner that's in a different classroom, so to speak. So you have to give it time. Again, you have to stay in your power and stay in the choices that are best for you. And you have to understand that you don't always have power in the third dimension, if you will, to move things along or to make other people's choices. You just don't have that power because it's not yours. It's not your responsibility. It's not your responsibility. And that's another big key word. Another person reached out and said, in all honesty, why would I want the karmic partner to heal? And this person, Lisa, went off in her email about the karmic partner, and basically saying how, she says, Molly, please don't read all of this in public, but just know this is what's happened. And so why would I want the karmic partner to heal? Well, here's why. Because she is part of the divine feminine energy on the planet, even if she's lower on the energy scale. And honestly, she needs it the most. She needs it the most. She needs that love. She needs to know that she is worthy. She needs, there's a lot that she could choose. It comes to choice. And so you don't have to love her in person. You don't have to do anything you don't have to do something, but I want to raise your awareness that it's often those who are so disconnected who need it the most. And whatever they do about it, that's up to them. It really is. It's not our power. It's not your choice. It's not anything you can do anything about. And that's really important to know. The other thing that's really important here with the karmic partner and the soulmate too, and I know I'm talking mostly about divine masculine energies, but this can be in reverse. If the situation is reversed for you, these are just the energies. These are not gender specific. But the divine masculine goes to someone who is similar to the mother energy or the father energy that he's healing, to work something out, to step into his power, to trust that he's different, to believe in himself, to not give his power away, to not do what people tell him to, or to not follow the family path, the family lineage. He is often different. And so some of that has to be experienced firsthand in order for him to embrace it and to step into that power. And so he goes to someone who is the same energy vibration of the mother or the father, and that can be the soulmate or the karmic partner, and that's partly what he's healing too. And that this is then how he realizes he's ready to experience a different type of relationship with someone in a different vibration. So it's all healing. That doesn't make it easy. The same can be said for the divine feminine and what she's healing in relationships with her father or with her mother, depending on the dynamic. And to understand the bigger picture, it's always about the energies, and then we give them a face and we give them a name as we go on this journey. It's important to understand how much detachment and acceptance is needed with third-party situations. And that is something that's easier said than done, much easier said than done. And I have I had an interesting experience the other day where I'm in Florida, and the roads here, the turnpikes, can be really confusing. And they're older and they aren't logical all the time. It's like they have to build up the highways and the freeways around all these water masses, the lakes and the ponds and rivers, because there's a lot of water in Florida. So these turnpikes are all convoluted, and the signage can be old and not updated and confusing. And so I was going through a toll booth, and to the left of me was a giant bus, like one of those big tour buses, coach buses, with all these people in it. And it said Miami is where where the bus is supposed to go. But he had just gone through the turnstile for Jacksonville. So Miami is south, Jacksonville's north. And the bus was through the toll booth, slammed on its brakes, cars were lined up behind it, couldn't reverse, couldn't get out couldn't turn around. There's no turnaround. Like when you go through that toll booth, you're committed. And there is not an exit for at least 20 miles. It's just a straight road. So the soonest you can turn around would be 20 miles after. So this bus driver goes through the toll booth, slams on the brakes, and realizes he was in the wrong lane. But he's committed. He can't reverse. He can't turn around. He can't back out. He has to go down that 20-mile stretch of road if he wants to turn around and go back to Miami. So he has to go 20 miles north, basically 40 miles out of his way to go back to Miami. That's what it's like when someone steps into a karmic or soulmate relationship at times, is that they're committed and you're in it because something happened where you passed through the gates. That's what you chose. That's the lane you were in because you weren't paying attention or you weren't watching the signage. And not only are you going down that road, but now everyone who's with you goes down it too. That's also what happens with these third-party situations, is that so many people can be involved in it. That includes children, and that's where you have to understand that there's healing for everybody, even if you can't see it. And that's, in hindsight, it might be clearer, and a lot of people can learn through oppositional energies, meaning in order to know love, you experience fear. In order to know peace, you experience anger. In order to know, acceptance, you experience judgment. So oppositional learning happens when we have the opposite energy that teaches us what we truly want to choose next. And I think that if there are children involved, as I know there are for many of you, whether you have children with the karmic, children on your own, you're married and there's kids involved, think of how you can make this beneficial for kids and of any age, because that's possible. And it's understanding that we might not always see it at the time, but there's ways for everybody to grow or to have wisdom or to have understanding through these experiences. The worst thing you can do is to continually beat yourself up, or to go back into the past, or to hate yourself, or to be hard on yourself if you're in a karmic situation, or you're stuck in a soulmate relationship, or you're doing something that doesn't honor who you truly are, or you've made choices that don't honor who you truly are. When you're giving that energy to yourself, you're only creating more harm to yourself, and that's where the work happens. That's where it's good to have the energy healing, to talk with somebody, to have a therapist or a counselor, a guide, somebody who helps you through it, who helps you see it differently, because our own minds can be the worst places for these things. But it's important to know that ultimately there is healing for everybody. And I'm going to do a part 2 of this video because I have more to say. Apparently, I always have more to say. But I want to share, I have a few more questions to answer, but I want to share something for some of you. There is a music video by an artist named Blake Shelton, and the video is called I'll Name the Dogs. And if you go watch that video right now, it has a twist that you're not expecting in the music video. And that's part of what this journey is about, is to never give up the hope, to know that no matter what is transpiring or what has transpired, we never know how things are going to unfold. We never know. There's so many ways things can change, and life is a wild ride, and we're not in charge anyways, especially because this connection is a God connection. So please watch that video. I hope it makes you smile. And I'm going to be back here in just a minute with part 2 of the third party situations Q&A.